Okay, so David has a question. At what point in our harmonica journey should we consider amplification? That is a fantastic question. So, basically, you need to balance it between what the teacher wants and what you want. So, the teacher, me, third person. I want you to have a really solid foundation of good acoustic technique. So if you have that, then amplified playing is going to be really easy and very fun. If you don't have that, you're not going to get a particularly good sound amplified. An amplifier is only going to make what you put into it louder. So if you're a complete beginner, you're probably going to struggle with amplified playing, and it's just another distraction from working on the stuff you should be working on. But I know that loads and loads of people are extremely excited about playing amplified, so they'll probably jump the gun and go a little bit earlier into that part of their journey than maybe I would like them to. So with that in mind, try and balance it. Remember that the key to great amplified tone is great acoustic tone. So if you don't have that, work on your acoustic tone some more. But yeah, otherwise have at it. Generally, I mean, I didn't start playing properly amplified until I'd been playing for years and years and years. And we're talking a decade. But it's totally up to you. Just bear in mind what I've said. I hope that answers your question, David. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. So, next question from Rob. Hi team, I've been listening to a group of musicians who get together on a regular basis. They don't play blues, only very occasionally. When I play the blues scale in my head to what they're playing, it just doesn't fit. So what scale are they using and how would I fit in with a harp? Next time we get together, I will ask them where they are choosing the notes from. That's an excellent question. So, the question is really, what do you do when you're jamming in a non-blues context? And it's not massively different from jamming in a blues context. You just need to be a little bit mindful of what notes and what scales say. What kind of idea you're conveying with the choice of notes. So if you play a blues scale, okay, that's super bluesy. It's got a very strong identity, and a lot of that boils down to a couple of notes, namely the 4-draw bend, and the 4-draw bend is the one that really makes it a blues scale. The 3-draw half-step bend and the 5-draw really make it a minory feeling scale. So for starters, I would take out the 4-draw bend. That's the strongest blues specific note. And take that note out and just play what's known as a minor pentatonic scale. And you'll find that sits quite well in a lot of scenarios. It doesn't sit perfectly in all scenarios, but it does sit well in quite a lot of scenarios. Another scale for you to use, your other option, is the major pentatonic scale. And that sounds like this. So all of this I'm playing in second position. You could play these in other positions, but for ease right now, we'll just stick to second position. So that's 2-draw, 3-draw whole step bend, 3-draw, 4-draw, 5-blow, 6-blow. And that's going to be really useful for when you want to have a kind of sweet melodic sound. This gets used a lot in country music, in folk music, in kind of gospel music, things where it's more sweet than dark and bluesy. So you have those two options, minor pentatonic and major pentatonic. The minor pentatonic is sadder and darker. The major pentatonic is sweeter and more melodic, right? And if you take out that 4-draw bend from the blues scale to make it minor pentatonic, you're making less of a definite blues statement when you're playing, and that will help quite a lot. It's kind of obvious when you play with people who only play blues when they start hitting that note in every context, because it doesn't always work. But it's amazing what taking that one note out can do to your playing. So Rob, great question, and I look forward to maybe hearing a little bit more about what kind of music you're playing with these guys, so that we can maybe go a little bit deeper in it. I think Dawood had another question. Yes, even if I'm currently within the beginner lessons, sometimes I practice the bending and trying to hold different pitches and try to integrate in some licks I found on the internet before I signed up here, just for fun because I have no patience to wait for the lessons. Do you think it has disadvantages to make experiments with stuff which will be taught later? No, I think you should be curious and you should explore things. With one caveat, be mindful of whether you're jumping from thing to thing when something gets too challenging. So this is something that I generally call this the YouTube rabbit hole, where you'll watch a YouTube lesson and you'll have a little go at learning whatever it is that's being taught, and then it's too difficult, so you jump onto another lesson and you do the same thing again. You repeat that over and over. Now, if you find yourself having that pattern of behavior, then you've got to stop and just be more methodical and work through bit by bit. If, on the other hand, you're doing all your good practice and you're working on the things that you need to be working on to improve, but you are curious about other things, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just don't try and do too many things at once. Humans can't multitask. No one can multitask. Nothing to do with gender. You can try and split your attention between multiple things. It doesn't work. One thing will always have your attention, or all the things you're doing won't have any of your attention. So really, really focus is my kind of biggest recommendation. But also be curious. But maybe allow 20% curiosity, 80% focus. Right, next question is from Dave. Dave has said, Hi Tomlin, I'm working through month 3 material. I'm struggling to hit the 8 draw consistently on Amazing Grace. It's getting better as I play the tune more, though would appreciate any suggestions I could try in my practice. So firstly, I feel your pain. Those high notes are really tough to get clean and relaxed. And they are incredibly sensitive to how you play and how hard you play. So if you attack those notes too hard and you have any tension in your playing, you're going to get a whole lot of nothing. So it's all about dropping the jaw, opening up your throat as much as possible, and not using too much air. So relax, play a little bit more gently, and don't suck the air. See there, I'm playing too hard. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of the main thing. And then you're saying that it's getting better as you're practicing, so keep doing what you're doing. That's the main thing. A lot of this stuff, there isn't like a really clever, quick silver bullet that's going to fix everything immediately. Generally, it's that repetition. And if you're improving bit by bit, then you're on the right track. So next question is from Tony. Tony said, just a quick one. After speaking to you earlier, I've ordered an ultrasonic cleaner. I'm responsible for people spending so much money on random things. I apologize if anyone gets in trouble for that. I mainly use special 20s, so plastic combs, and just checking if I need to strip them down or to clean, or just put it in as it is. I would still strip it down. So the reason that you want to strip down a harmonica completely, so that means taking the cover plate off both sides and then taking the reed plates off of the comb, is because if you just bung the harmonica into a sonic cleaner, it's going to shake and vibrate with the sonic waves, and then you're going to have all the gubbins, all the bits of crud just loose inside your harmonica. Which isn't good. So if you take it all apart, you shake everything off, and then you can wipe it off if there's anything that has kind of sat on the surface, and then put it back together completely clean. Be very careful. You are probably going to break a harmonica. So experiment with a harmonica that's old and you don't really care about. And just be very careful. Take your time. Be very gentle. Harmonicas are
pretty fragile, especially when they're opened up. The reeds are made from brass in your Special 20, and brass is a very soft metal. It's quite easy to deform it. So just take your time and use a light touch. And yeah, take your harmonica apart completely. Tomlin, would it be useful to start practicing with different keys of harp at my early stage, or should I stick with the C harmonica and start using the others when more advanced? So I think I'm going to be careful about how I answer this question, because I don't want anyone to think that they have to get more harmonicas. Everything that I teach pretty much is going to be on a C harmonica. But if you want to give yourself a little bit more of a challenge and you want to buy some more harmonicas, I think that's a great idea. Trying out the same exercises on different keys is really useful. So if you only have a C harmonica, then I would suggest your next harmonica to get is either an A harmonica or a D harmonica. So the A harmonica sounds like this. Okay, so it's lower than the C harmonica, and your D harmonica sounds like this. So it's a little bit higher than the C harmonica. So yeah, definitely, if you feel like getting some more harmonicas, it's not going to do you any harm whatsoever. And more advanced players, I would say that it's absolutely mandatory to get into the habit of practicing on as many different keys as you can.
Okay, so Kim has said, I found it quite difficult to improvise in minor in second position. Can you give some tips on how to approach a 12-bar blues minor tune? Yes, so it is difficult if you don't know the tricks, but if you know the tricks, it's dead easy. So basically, there are a handful of notes that you need to avoid, and if you avoid those notes, you're golden. So everything in the blues scale sounds brilliant over a minor blues. So if you stick to the notes in the blues scale, you're fine. You don't need to do anything else. The problem areas that almost everyone has is that most people also play the 2-blow, the clean 3-draw, and the 5-blow. This is just holes 1 to 6. You can replicate the same thing in the upper octave as well, but focusing on 2-blow, clean 3-draw, and 5-blow. So if you play those notes over a minor blues, they sound awful. And they're not in the blues scale, they're in the major pentatonic scale, but a lot of people add them in because they work over a major blues. So if you swap the 2-blow for a 2-draw whole step bend, you swap the 3-draw for a 3-draw half step bend, and you swap the 5-blow for a 5-draw, it'll work fine. So focus on the blues scale, and that's your minor 12-bar blues absolutely sorted. Everything else is exactly the same. The root notes are the same, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. Just make sure that you're not playing those 3 notes.
So Jerry has said, should I put in more practice standing and playing versus sitting? It seems easier to grasp the pulse from each session of the music. Totally. I think the more time you can spend standing playing, the better, for a whole bunch of reasons. You're generally going to have better posture standing up than sitting. People tend to slump. You're going to have access to more lung capacity, by I think it's about 30% more lung capacity. So if you struggle with breathing, standing up is a huge benefit. And the ability to kind of physically feel the pulse and tap your foot in time and move your whole body, it's a lot easier standing up. So yeah, I think standing up makes a huge difference. And one thing I noticed when I used to teach people in a room, remember what that was like when we used to sit in a room together and do stuff with other people? So I used to do group classes every week, and I noticed that people took things much more seriously if I made them stand up to demonstrate something than if they were sitting down. It makes you focus more. Whereas if you're sitting down, it's a lot more relaxed, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not necessarily quite as focused and purposeful. So I think there's a huge amount of value to standing up, and I always practice standing up.